Jamie, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
So let's talk about Winx Health. I normally wanted to start from your founding story, but some exciting things are happening. Company's name changed, and you have a very exciting
Yes.
advisor slash investor. Let's talk about that a little bit, and then go from there to the beginning.
Yeah, definitely. To start for a second at the beginning, my co founder Cynthia and I started what was formerly Stix about 5 years ago. And we started with a single pregnancy test. Today, our product suite, we have about 8 products in the vaginal and sexual health space that cover at home diagnostics, treatments, supplements. And we also do a great deal of health and sex education. That's really how we've grown our brand. So we wanted a name that really encompassed everything that we do. And we felt really strongly that women's health is more than a line on a pregnancy test, which is where our original name came from. So we decided to rebrand and kind of relaunch the brand as your one-stop shop for all things women's health and education. And we were very fortunate to be connected with Kerry Washington, who is our latest investor and advisor. And she's very passionate about reproductive justice and women's health. And she's been an amazing supporter for us.
How are you connected with her? Because she is very passionate about reproductive health, especially the political part
Yes.
of it. So your brand also has a connection to our current zeitgeist a
Yeah,
lot.
it's been very, the landscape today is very different than when we launched the brand. We've always been really passionate about reproductive rights, but it wasn't until 2 years ago that Roe was overturned, and it's just been a hot button topic and very newsworthy. So we feel very privileged to be able to work in this space during such an important time. And Carrie was connected. She heard about Winx through um, someone in her network who was an investor of ours, and they connected Carrie with us, and we were just like dumbfounded, and we couldn't believe that she knew what we were doing and what the brand was. She, it turns out that she had been a big fan of the brand, which was really really cool, and just like a starstruck moment for us. And once we got connected, it kind of just like waterfall, or what's the phrase I'm looking for? Snowballed from there. I'm in summer mode. Waterfall.
Were you already changing the name of the company?
Yeah, actually we got connected to Carrie before we started changing the name of the company. But it turned out that when we made the decision to change the name of the company, that kind of coincided with the timeline that we wanted to announce Carrie's involvement. She had been kind of involved like under the radar for a year, and then we wanted to make sure that we were announcing the investment at a time that worked for her and also was relevant, like in the media landscape and all that good stuff.
Well, incredible. So let's go back to the beginning a little bit. Since Winx Health started with a little bit of a chance encounter in a drugstore with the
Yes.
boyfriend's mom. So how did you guys turn that moment into, well, a multi-million dollar business?
Yeah, you've done your research. That original founding story actually was my co-founder's story,
Yeah.
though I guess I was involved. So my co-founder Cynthia, at the time we were co-workers at a startup based in Baltimore, Maryland, and we just always really worked well together. We were always like kind of like work best friends and would daydream about starting a company of our own. We were on the founding team there, like very early employees. So it seemed more possible when you're like living that day to day. And Cynthia was in the drugstore in Philly, and she ran into her boyfriend's mother buying a pregnancy test. They're actually getting married next weekend. So that's exciting.
Amazing.
She's off. That's why she's not
So
on the
many things are
podcast.
happening in your ecosystem right
I know. It's
now.
a big summer, especially
So
for
it
her.
is a big summer.
Yeah, she's off for the next 3 weeks. I'm so happy for her. Yeah, so that now it's her fiance. At the time, it was her boyfriend. She ran into his mom, and at the time, we were 25 years old. Like that is not a fun experience to have. She called me, just kind of like freaking out, and then we kind of just started like doing research into pregnancy tests because I had just had a bad experience buying a drugstore product, and we were kind of like, like, why are all the brands so dated? These are really expensive. They are like all targeted towards women who are trying to get pregnant. Everyone we knew at the time who was buying pregnancy tests was not trying to have a baby. And the commercials on TV are like, yay, positive pregnancy test. So we just started doing research, and we're like, it was kind of like a light bulb moment where we wanted to just try to see if it had legs. And we did a lot of customer, market research. We did interviews, we did
How did you do
surveys.
that?
We the first thing we did is we made a survey, and we sent it to like everyone in our networks and had them share it with their networks. I think we ended up having a little over 500 responses in the first like couple days. So we were like,
Wow.
people are like filling out
That's a
this
good
very long
sample.
survey. So there's something here. And then when we did some pitch competitions, we won like small amounts of money. Like I think we won $1,000. And with the first pitch competition, we did some like Facebook ads. At the time, Facebook ads were really different than they are now. This was 2018. And we put up like not fake, but like a landing page for our brand website before it was a brand, and had people fill out kind of like a form if they were interested. And we got like thousands of responses with a very, very small amount of spend. And that kind of like validated to us that there was something there. We didn't know exactly what it would turn into, but that kind of gave us some steam to keep doing these pitch competitions. It was through a pitch competition that we met our very first angel investor. He was in the audience, and he came up to us after and was saying he was very passionate about women-run businesses. And Cynthia asked him to get breakfast the next day. We got breakfast with him, and we left with a $50,000 check. So that was like
Amazing.
a
Yeah.
very, I mean, looking back, we're like, how lucky are we? Those things they're not common. So we were very fortunate.
Hmm. Sometimes the stars align. So interesting. A male investor was passionate about female founded business.
Yeah.
What percentage of your investors are women compared to men?
We have, I'm not sure the actual percentage, because we kind of cobbled together like a party round for our pre-seed and our seeds. We have lots of investors that wrote very small checks, but of our like institutional investors, over half are women.
Mm-hmm.
I need to like double confirm, but we have a board, and 2 out of 3 of our investors on our board are women. So that is really fun. And we had a hard time raising money, a very hard time for the first few years.
Sure.
Not just because, majority of investors are men, because we found male investors who really resonate with our mission and what we're doing. But, our products are for women too. So when we're pitching to male investors and they've never experienced these problems themselves, it's just like a double hurdle that you have to jump over.
Sure.
So took us some time to find the right people, but we've got wonderful, wonderful investors. I can't believe how lucky we got. I hear horror stories all the time, and we are very fortunate.
Yeah, a lot of investors don't invest in companies they can't use their products for. So that's definitely a hurdle. In the past, you've mentioned Gen Z is different. So how has that shaped your marketing strategy, and what can other brands learn from your approach?
Yeah. So Gen Z is a very different generation than millennials, even though we are very close in age. A stat that I love is that more Gen Z people use TikTok for search than they do Google. So that's just like a really, really different behavior. Like we turn to Google whenever we have a question, or, that's the go-to place for a lot of Gen Z. It's TikTok. And that just kind of shows that they are more trustworthy. They're more trusting of like, kind of like peer written, peer reviewed products, stuff like that. So we have this editorial platform called Real Talk, where we do tons of health and sex education. Mostly all of our articles now are written by Gen Z writers. Our editorial manager is in her mid-20s. So I think that it just goes to show that Gen Z consumers really appreciate brands that provide this educational content. and give them something of value before making a purchase. We can't just like put a really nice brand design and a Facebook ad up and expect people to purchase our product. We really want to make sure that we're bringing them into our community and educating them.
Yeah, the future of search is so unknown right now with AI and people just asking more and more questions to GPT instead of going to Google. And I'm actually waiting to see what Apple announces in the fall when the new iPhones have AI completely embedded. So, just asking Siri everything. And I'm kind of excited about it, a little bit nervous about it because, excited as a consumer because I feel like it's just so cool, but nervous as an entrepreneur because, like, how do we do SEO now? So,
I know it's really changing so much, and SEO has been a huge growth lever for us. So it makes us a little nervous as well.
mhm.
I do feel very, very strongly that there's always going to be a need for humans talking to humans, and that Gen Z is really smart, and people aren't going to hopefully want to use AI or rely on AI for their information, in all cases, especially when it comes
Mhm.
to our bodies and like the intimate sides of ourselves. So I think that there will always be a niche for this kind of like peer written communicated education, but I am very curious to see where the future goes with all of this. It
Yeah.
does make me nervous though.
Well, here's an interesting thing. Your company reached profitability by slashing your entire marketing budget. That's pretty counterintuitive in the DTC world, isn't it? Like, can you walk me through that decision and what happened after?
Yeah, so in some context, we raised venture capital, like a traditional seed round in 2021, and we used a lot of that money to invest in paid media. So tons of Facebook, Meta ads, and we grew our brand exponentially in that way. And over time, as I'm sure you're familiar, and probably lots of listening are familiar, the algorithm shifted and it became way more expensive and difficult to acquire customers. Also, like talking about Gen Z shops differently. So like the tactics that worked in 2017 aren't going to work today in the same way. So we were kind of between a rock and a hard place about a year ago, and like a lot of other direct to consumer brands, we were struggling with how we wanted to grow. Did we want to raise more money? Did we want to pursue profitability? And we decided that like the core of our brand is providing people with the products and education they need. And one way that what something we've always been doing is providing this educational content. When we decided to look into it, we realized that majority of our website traffic and our sales were actually coming from people who had engaged with our content. So we kind of just went all in. We pulled our marketing budget, our paid marketing budget. We pulled that completely. We still do like a tiny little bit of like search ads, but as for Meta, like we do nothing. And we just really invested in creating content that resonates. And Real Talk, which is our educational platform, is driving 20% of its visitors onto our e-commerce shop. We also really started prioritizing retail
Mhm.
expansion. So we are on DoorDash, we're on GoPuff. We just launched in a grocer, giant grocery stores, and we're in talks with tons of other retailers. So that combination really allowed us to get profitable and do it quickly. And now we're in a place where we can kind of like control our own destiny and um, work on things that are really meaningful to us, and not really be at the mercy of needing to raise money every year.
It feels like the iOS changes and you having to cut your marketing budget might have been a blessing in disguise a little bit.
Yeah.
What they say, from constraint comes breakthroughs. So maybe you wouldn't have found out that educational content would have been the path to major growth. In your
Yeah.
case, it seems like it has been a major growth driver. So how do you actually measure the ROI on those free resources, the real talk, and what advice would you give to other brands thinking about that approach?
Yeah. Um, and I agree, I think we would have never found this out if we weren't backed into a corner and, we had to make tough decisions in cutting our budget. We cut some of our team as well. Like it was a hard decision, but ultimately it like led us to create something that's way more sustainable. Um, as for tracking ROI and like the data that we look at, we, look at a number of metrics every month. Our main like North Star is traffic on Real Talk. We have over 500,000 people in our community. Those are people who have subscribed via email, come back to Real Talk, read stuff, follow us on social, engage with us. Um, so that and site traffic are really big North Stars for us. From there, we can get kind of granular with like, okay, how many people are then going on to shop and then going on to purchase, going on to refer friends. And there's also like a brand value of people coming to Real Talk, even if they don't check out and buy. Then the next time they're on GoPuff scrolling at night for something that they might need, they see a Winx product, they're going to be familiar with the brand and go on to purchase there. So we look at a number of things. And as we start to prioritize retail, like retail marketing is a whole other world. We started direct to consumer where everything's very, very trackable and you can find ROI very easily. With retail, it's a little bit more putting money into and time into brand marketing, which is less trackable.
How long after your start did you make the shift to retail marketing, or not a shift, but just adding it as an additional channel?
Yeah.
And why? When was it difficult?
Yeah, so our first retail partner was GoPuff, the on-demand platform. We started working with GoPuff, I want to say in 2021. We had always been interested in retail because people need our products sometimes immediately. Like as much as we like to think people are stocking up on the morning after pill and pregnancy tests, which they are, not everyone is, and especially in college towns, more rural areas, stuff like that. We just always knew that eventually we wanted to be in retail. We didn't prioritize it at first because everything was D2C. That was like the big focus. GoPuff reached out to us initially and we were like, sure, like let's give it a try. We had no idea the volume that account would do. GoPuff has been an amazing partner for us, really, really instrumental in our growth, and it really allowed us to grow the brand. From GoPuff, because that went well, we decided to reach out to other on-demand and like e-tail retailers. So we're on DoorDash, we're on FSA Store. We just launched into physical retail. So our very first on-shelf expansion was like 2 months ago into giant grocery stores in Pennsylvania. And that's been really energizing for us because we really feel like we can refresh this aisle that's, really like only featuring brands that our grandmothers used, and the products haven't had any innovation in years, decades even. And we want to kind of reinvent the women's health aisle and make sure that it's educational, there's no judgment, and it's helping people solve their problems.
Hmm. Well, you're singing GoPuff's praises. Now I'm curious, like, what are they doing so above and beyond that makes you so happy as an entrepreneur?
Yeah. I think they just have an incredible amount of users, very loyal users. They do really, really well in college towns.
Hmm.
And for products that are needed on demand, like they deliver within, I think their promise is 30 minutes. Like I've ordered
Oh, wow.
GoPuffs personally and they've come like 10 minutes. And I have
Wow.
no idea how they do it. They have
So
micro
speed of
fulfillment.
delivery is key.
Yeah, like and GoPuff started as kind of like late night ice cream delivery. They're kind of like a 7-Eleven, but just like
Right.
on your phone. And our products do really, really well for that kind of demographic.
Oh,
We're,
yeah.
I think we're the top performer. I mean, one of the top performers in the wellness category for both GoPuff and DoorDash.
Hmm. Oh, so interesting. So I guess the circumstances around needing a test and possibly the urgency,
Yeah.
maybe sometimes with panic, delivery speed becomes like exceptionally important, maybe compared to ice cream, even though ice cream is very urgent
Yeah.
as
I
well
mean,
a lot of the
sometimes you need
times,
it.
right?
Yeah, totally. And also discretion. Like a lot of people
Sure.
don't want to go to their local
Right.
CVS to buy these products because they know the people working there, or
Or what if they
they're
run
gonna,
into boyfriend's mom,
yeah, especially in a
right?
college town, like that campus drugstore, you're gonna see everyone in there. So the
Gossip
discretion,
prone.
yeah, totally.
Well, the restart morning after pill launch, that coincided with a major political shift, right? So how do you stay agile and responsive to these big external events that impact your market?
Yeah. So um it's a little bit of like proactive and reactive um work. So for restart, for example, we knew that the Supreme Court was going to be voting on the
Mhm.
Dobbs decision, which is what overturned Roe v. Wade. That was on their calendar. We knew it was coming in the spring. So the morning after pill was always a product we wanted to launch for a number of reasons. But once we realized the timing, we fast tracked it, and we were like, this product is going to be more important than ever once abortion rights are stripped away. Um, so we fast tracked it. We launched the morning after pill like the same week that the Dobbs decision was leaked, and that was a really intense time because like the news cycle was all about obviously Roe, and there was a huge spotlight on abortion pills and the morning after pill and contraception in general. So to be able to provide emergency contraception during that time was really really huge. On social, we spent pretty much our social strategy since then has been to educate and highlight what's going on politically as it affects women's bodies. Um, right now with all of the election news that's happening, and in the past week with Biden stepping out and Kamala stepping in, and JD Vance's stance on women's bodies, there's a lot of stuff going on. So our whole social strategy is really like drawing attention to these things and weaving in storytelling about our products. But we found, and this is common, I think, for a lot of brands, especially that make products for women, that storytelling and education is going to be way more impactful than just like product marketing.
Right. So interesting. Your business is so tightly aligned. It's almost like Patagonia like, where you don't have to
I
sell
love
your
that.
product, you just have to tell stories. To a point
Yeah.
where you might even run an ad in a magazine just like they did. Don't buy this jacket because
Yeah.
because they're all about sustainability. I mean,
I love that. I talk about Ben and Jerry's all the time because they are like so clear on their mission and their politics. Um, so is Patagonia. I think that's awesome.
yeah. So you've described your campus marketing as guerrilla grassroots. Can you share a campaign that really took off, and why do you think it resonated?
Yeah. We did our we did a morning after pill campaign targeted towards college campuses almost, I think it was like exactly a year ago. Actually, no, a little. The kids, students were still on campus. So last spring. Um, since Roe was overturned, there's been a huge misconception across the country that the morning after pill and the abortion pill are the same thing, and that the morning after pill is illegal in states with abortion bans. That's not true. The morning after pill is legal in all 50 states. Over 50% of people don't know that. So we did a big education campaign. We called it Still Legal, and the messaging was extremely simple. It was just the morning after pill is still legal. And we took out billboards really close to college campuses in a handful of red states. We had one outside of LSU in Baton Rouge, one in Tampa. Um, and it just said the morning after pill is still legal, and it had like a vanity URL that led people to our website. And we didn't like lead people to a product page. We made a landing page that had education and information about the morning after pill, how it is different than the abortion pill. 73% of people think the morning after pill and the abortion pill are the same thing.
Mhm.
So our goal with that campaign is like, let's educate, and then hopefully people, when they need the morning after pill, will think of us.
Mhm. I want to go back to the Kerry Washington news. Her joining as an advisor and investor. I wanted to talk to you about how you approach celebrity partnerships, but then when you told me how it happened, it's not
Yeah.
like you were looking to do a celebrity partnership. It just kind of dropped
Whoa,
in your
yeah.
lap, which is such a nice, pleasant surprise. But now that this something like this happened, do you think about other types of celebrity partnerships, or is that not something you think about? Especially, like in your case, it's about such a sensitive topic.
Yeah. I mean, we would love for more celebrities to reach out and say they want to work with us. Um, our focus right now is working with more like micro influencers, organizers, creators that can really connect with Gen Z. So, like, there are a ton of sex ed creators on TikTok and Instagram, people whose whole platforms are about educating people about sex and their bodies. So, we just did an influencer campaign with a lot of like sex ed creators. Um, we're not like pursuing new celebrity partnerships right now, but we would love to work with people who are passionate. But we're a small team. We're 3 people full time, so we just don't really have the resources to go out and pursue those types of high level partnerships. They also take a very long time. So right now, we're really focused on providing content and education about things that are happening in the next 6 months.
Hmm. So you mentioned you focus on micro influencers. How do you approach collabs with creators? How do you select them? Do you have a criteria? And
Yeah,
like how much of your marketing effort is influencer compared to, like, I don't know. Do you still not do any paid ads? Is it, or did you restart it after that?
we don't do any paid ads.
Oh wow, amazing.
And that's another thing too. Like Gen Z is very savvy to paid partnerships
Hmm.
and these like big mega influencer celebrities. Like they can kind of see through when things are not authentic.
Hmm.
So we are really focused on working with people who like understand what we're doing. We understand what they're doing, and we can help each other in some way. So we have on Real Talk, we do interviews with different creators and different people in the space where we're promoting them. And then in turn, they'll share that piece and that promotes us, or we'll do collab posts about a certain topic. Um, and we find them just through like being really, really involved and ingrained in the social landscape. Like our our team is very, very online. Like we follow all of these people, we know all the trends.
Hmm.
And we reach out to people whenever we think it's a fit. We have paid influencers in the past. I'm not going to say we'll never pay an influencer again if it's like super aligned, but what's worked well for us is when it's been really organic.
Hmm. So I hear you recently launched a new category of at-home digital diagnostics for UTI testing. So
Yes.
why expand into this category, and what are some of the lessons from your previous launches that you've learned and you're applying to this one?
Yeah, this is like a very new type of product for us because in the past we've done just over the counter products. Um, we've always had a UTI test, or not always, but since we launched into the UTI category a few years ago, we've had our UTI test and it's always been a bestseller.
Hmm.
The thing with the UTI test is that once you get diagnosed with a UTI, you need prescription treatment to cure it. You cannot cure a UTI with over the counter medication. And there are over 80 million doctor's visits each year caused by UTIs. It's the most common outpatient infection for women. And everyone knows if you're a woman, you've had a UTI, it is like the most painful, uncomfortable, awful thing that you could go through. So we've always known that like we wanted to do more with UTIs. We were not really like in the market of launching a telehealth company just because we're a small team and we wanted to stay laser focused. Um, but we wanted to do something a little bit more helpful to people than just provide them with their test results. So what we launched is a digital, basically a physical test, over the counter test that you can scan to see your results. Will then tell you if you have a UTI or not and connect you to a telehealth doctor who can then write you prescription treatment.
Hmm.
So we're basically giving you in that one box your test, your next steps, and easy access to same day treatment. So then you can fill the prescription with that telehealth doctor, pick it up at your local pharmacy, and it's all for less than the cost of a copay. We're working with Dr. B on the telehealth front, and they charge $15 for the appointment, no matter what. So that was really important to us. There are a lot of uninsured people that need these products. Um, so we're able to like save people not just the time and the pain of going to the doctor, but a like
Hmm.
considerable amount of money as well.
Yeah. Jamie, Winx Health has evolved from a single product to this comprehensive women's health brand. What's your framework, I guess, for deciding which new products or categories to enter?
Yeah, we really listen to our customers and pay attention to what's going on in the social and political landscape. Um, when we launched into pregnancy tests, we then heard a lot of questions about ovulation tests. So we launched those. And then we paid a lot of attention to the over the counter women's health aisle. And we know that UTIs are so common, yeast infections are so common. The options are really, really confusing about what's on there. Like a lot of people don't know the difference between a yeast infection and a UTI. So we knew that there was room for us to not only educate people about their bodies, but launch products that can help them. Um, that's another really interesting benefit of education is that people were reading our articles about UTIs and yeast infections before we even had those products. So we knew that there was a need there. And to this day, like the number one problem that our customers have is that they don't know what's going on down there. So our mission is like, okay, let's just like make it as easy as possible to find out what's going on with your vagina so you can test for it, cure it, or get connected to the right doctor.
Hmm. Final question.
Yeah.
What are the top two headaches right now? And what are your top two priorities for the year?
Oh, headaches. Um, okay, biggest headache right now is that Meta keeps like maybe it's not Meta, the algorithm keeps restricting our account. We were age
Oh, the sensitive
restricted.
copy images.
Yeah, age restricted, and then people couldn't DM us, and
Mm.
now like we had an issue doing collab posts, and it's very, very unclear how to fix these things. So that is a headache. That's the biggest headache because those things are just like, you know what, we're like deep in Reddit threads about how to fix it, and it's really frustrating when there's not like a human on the other side. Um, and because we rebranded, we had to order all new packaging, all new products. I have these here for our probiotic samples. So I think just like this process, we wanted to be as environmentally friendly as possible. So we're like slow rolling our new branding out for certain products. So that's just a headache. I want it all to be done. I want everything to be in Winx packaging. Um, that's a headache. My apartment's filled with samples. Um, and priorities are like retail, being anywhere that our customer is and showing up for them with these test and treat products, with these new products. So pitching retailers, getting in front of buyers, retail marketing is a big priority and will be for the next 12 months and beyond, I'm sure. And then the election is a big priority for us, just like educating and advocating for candidates that are going to support the right to choose and supporting people in making sure that they're getting the right information and hopefully bringing people into our Real Talk community through that.
Jamie, thank you so much for sharing your journey with me.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This was fun. It went by so fast.